Welcome back to another episode of The Shot, The Edit, where I aim to actually show you how I created the shot and also how I edit the shot so you get the finished product. And today we're looking at this awesome lens flare. Now personally, I love lens flares. I just think it adds a little something to the images I hand over to my bride and grooms. Whether you like lens flare or not is down to you, but I'm going to show you how I create this and how I edited it. So let's dive in. Let's look at gear. For this shot, I actually used my Sony a7 III. It's a fantastic camera. I love it for weddings. I've been shooting the last few weddings with it. I've probably shot about 10 weddings now with it. Fantastic camera. I'm really loving it. Anyway, enough of that. I'm not going to gush over this too much. It's a great camera. You should go check one out. The most important part of this actual shot to get the lens flare is actually using an old vintage lens like this Helios 44-2. It's a 58mm f2 lens. I mean, look at it. It's a really old. Actually, I've got it mounted to the adapter, so that's the actual lens there. Yeah, it is pretty awesome. You can pick these up relatively cheap. They have gone up a little bit in value since people have been adapting them to the Sonys, but about 25 quid here in the UK. I actually bought this in a second-hand shop for 15 quid. The reason why you need this particular lens for the lens flare is just it flares like a bitch, basically. The new lenses that you buy today have got so many coatings on them to stop lens flare in your images. We don't want that. We want to create this particular image, which you need a lot of lens flare. Downsides to a particular lens like this, you can see on the adapter. I don't know, can you see that? Let's see if it focuses. Ooh, you can focus. There's no actual electrical contacts on the lens or anything like that. It's all manual focus, just like this camera seems to be doing on my face. It's doing a terrible job. But yeah, it's all manual focus. There's no electrical contacts, which makes things a little bit harder to actually focus. But we have a little trick up our sleeve. Let's just whack this on the camera. And this is all part of the process. Let's just line this up. Okay, so lens on the camera, so it works really well. All I need to do, let's just make sure this is turned on. Basically, on my particular camera, I don't know how well you can see that, I just press this button, the zoom, and it will zoom. And I can just go many times in. Boom, there we go. And it's back out. And I've just literally set it to the downward on the scroll wheel. It's nice and simple, and then I can just basically digitally zoom into the couple, get my focus, boom, 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 I've got the shot. Settings wise, because you're actually looking through the viewfinder, or you should be, you can do it on the back of the screen, it's fine. Settings as in shutter, aperture, ISO is going to vary wildly from shot to shot, but we will show, or I will show you even, once we go into Lightroom, the exact settings that I use for this particular shot. It's nothing complex, but you should just be basically doing it on the day and just checking it out, you know, on the back of the screen, because I can't really tell you, it's a very difficult one. What you will need for the aperture is basically the lens wide open. That's really crucial. Make sure the lens is wide open, so f2 on this, and it is a bit of a weird lens to use. You've got to basically, there's a little kind of thing around the front here, you've got to twist that and then dial it in, and it's just a bit weird, but just leave it wide open, you'll be fine. You can use other lenses, old Russian lenses, vintage lenses, whatever. They're out there in the millions. You can use them because, again, they don't have a lot of lens flare coatings. Grab one, you're good to go. Just buy an adapter. The adapter for this particular lens is an M42 to NEX. I'll leave the description down below so you can buy one yourselves. It's going to cost you something like 30 quid for the setup, for the actual lens and the adapter, and you get some amazing shots that are pretty unique, you might say. So yeah, go and buy one. They're great fun. So here we are in Adobe Lightroom, and this is the lovely image. I really love, actually, I keep saying love, but I really do like the lens flare that I get from my Helios lens. It is just superb in my opinion. And basically I want to just show you how you create this kind of look in the edit. So here is the edited version, as you can see, and here is the unedited. It looks a little bit different, I know, but it's a few easy steps and we will be able to make the image pop like this. top left, we can actually see it was shot on a Sony file. The .arw kind of indicates that. It's a 1,000th of a second, ISO 125th, and shot wide open with the aperture, so f2. Remember, you've got to shoot these lenses wide open to get the lens flare effect how it is. One really important kind of element, as you can see behind them, it's quite dark, so like trees, etc, etc. And it's basically just placing the sun up here in the top right hand kind of corner, so it's basically almost in frame, you might say, and that's how I'm going to get that lovely lens flare effect. You can place it basically anywhere you want, and you'll be able to see the flare as it basically appears in camera really, and just start clicking away. It's absolutely fine. But that's basically how I achieved this picture. So just make sure the sun is pretty much in frame, and they literally have something a little bit dark behind them, so it basically makes them pop out, and that's how you create this. Nice and simple. So let's dive into the really fun stuff. Basically the edit, as you can see over here on the right hand side, there's not much to it. It's a little bit of a tone curve, and that's mainly it. There's not much to this, guys. So let's go back. So this is literally reset. Nothing's actually been done to this picture at the moment. This is how it looked out of camera. It's a little bit dark, but that's fine. I didn't want to blow the highlights in the veil, etc, etc. And I know I can push the Sony files a little bit harder than I normally would. Right, okay, so I normally work down my panel here just in order. So I'm just going to boost this by about a stop. It looks a little bit... it looks okay, but we need some contrast, so I'm just going to play around with these, and already you can see just a little bit less, and it just makes it pop a little bit more, so that's kind of cool. Bring the highlights down maybe a little bit shadows up, maybe bring the whites up, blacks down, and already it's starting to look good. It's not finished yet, but we'll get there. For this one, I'm going to add in a little bit of clarity. Typically, I don't like clarity on skin tones, but for this particular image, it's absolutely fine. Dehaze, I'm going to do a little bit of dehaze, and you can see dehaze is really quite powerful on this picture. So just be careful with that. I'm going to add a little bit of vibrance, probably just bring the saturation down a tiny bit. So I just quickly made another virtual copy down here on the bottom left, so we can see before, after, and that's just with these few little tweaks that we've made here now. And you can see it just already starts to pop. So the next kind of thing, I'm just going to go to tone curve, add my 3 little points in here, and oh god, it's almost going all a little bit wacky already. You don't really want to play with the tone curve too much. You would almost want to just make a little S curve. You can see it just like bending ever so slightly, and you can see if you click it off and on how much that does, even though it's the slightest tweak. We're almost there, guys. It's such a simple edit, and look, this is the before, this is the after. It pops so much more. When we actually zoom in, and it does take a second or two, and we're just going to remove some of these artifacts that's actually from the lens. It's not actually off the sensor, it's off the lens, because this is an old lens. I think it's made in the 60s or something like that. I'm probably wrong there, but it's an old lens, so it's going to have little bits of dust inside. Just make sure your copy doesn't have anything like fungus, because that can potentially spread to other lenses. So we just get rid of all of these. There's a little bit in this hair. This is just super quick. And just drag it down. If you just hold spacebar, you see the hand kind of come up, and that's how I can just move it really easily. So any other marks I want to get rid of? No, not really. And hit enter, enter again. A little bit more on this cheek, and then we're good. We're pretty much there, guys. Again, it's a very, very simple edit. You don't have to do much to make your images pop. I think a lot of the times people actually over edit their images. And as you can see, again, before, it's very dull, to be honest. This is before, and then the afterwards. This image now pops. It looks so much better than it did before. And we spend, what, 2 minutes maximum editing this. We can go further. We can make it a little bit more warmer if we want, add a bit more magenta. But I don't like that too much because I think it just ruins it. I think I had it on auto white balance when I actually shot the picture, and it did a really, really, really good job. I like the colours this lens produced. So there we have it, guys. A nice, simple finish to the actual image. Let's go full screen. I think it looks really, really good myself. Let me know what you think. Do you like lens flare in your pictures? If you do, are you going to potentially pick this lens up? I do recommend it. As I said, it's only about 30 quid to buy this lens with the adapter. I'll leave some details of the lens and the adapter in the description below. Have a look, check it out. You might be able to pick up one of these, or you might even know somebody with one that's just is sitting in the garage or something like that. Check it out. It's a really good lens. Anyway, until next time, keep clicking away.